Carol?
Good morning. I'm also an individual that over the years I've been reluctant to to be too publicly associated with the Center for Immigration Studies, not because I thought there was anything wrong with the quality of their work, but because of the criticisms of the Southern Poverty Law Center. And I've been familiar with the Southern Poverty Law Center for more than a decade. I first found out about the organization when I was doing research on my two books on white nationalism. One, The New White Nationalism in America, Its Challenge to Integration, and Contemporary Voices of White Nationalism. And I cite them in several places, but even back then I saw a problem with that data. It seemed very clear that each year the number of groups they classified as hate groups went up some. It would go up every year, but when you looked, it was because they would take an existing group that's always been out there and they would reclassify it. And that was a way to keep the numbers increasing. And then gradually, the Southern Poverty Law Center sort of went out of the business, I think, of looking for real hate groups such as neo-Nazis, some of the black groups, black Muslim groups, different organizations that may be a threat to society. They stopped going after those groups and they started targeting conservative individuals. And so, and eventually they got to me, and I'll give you more information about that. And once, my face is smeared across the front page of newspapers in my state with the headline that I'm an apologist for white supremacy, I thought, well, I might as well get involved. And so I can concur with everything that's been said here this morning, negative about the Southern Poverty Law Center. They do smear individuals and try to discredit them, and it's not about threats in the traditional sense. It seems to be a campaign to silence conservative individuals, and they were very much behind the vilification of Lou Dobbs, and he's someone that I know very well. I respect him, and he's anything but a racist. And when they turned their guns on him and pretty much, drummed him out of his livelihood, I just felt like, they had crossed a line that was pretty serious. I wrote an article in 2008, summer of 2008, called Mission Creep, in which I accused them of, of being affected by it. And that's when an organization sort of goes beyond what it was originally created for and moves into other areas. And that's sort of, I believe, how I drew their fire. But there's smear tactics. They've already been talked about here. It's the guilt by association. It's the outright fabrications, because they do make up information, and they manipulate the media into curing their water. And in the case of what happened to me, that was what they did. And, I suspect, and I can't prove it, that they probably called the Tennessean, and it was very much a setup, the way it was framed, the way the article was framed, information that I gave that would explain what I was accused of was neglected to be included in the article. And it's clear, too, that they cherry-pick their causes. They cherry-pick the individuals and organizations that they would go after. In my article on Mission Creep, I talked about how they had that they had ignored the new Black Panther Party. 2008, on Election Day, there was videotape of them standing outside of a polling booth in Philadelphia dressed in their Black Panther gear. And they did look menacing. And this was outside of a polling booth, and to me, that's the equivalent of the KKK. I go to vote, and the KKK, if they're standing out there in their Klan robes, I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to be afraid, but I'm not going to like it. And they had pretty much given the new Black Panther Party a free pass. And, I mean, if they're concerned about hate, they had in 2000 classified the new Black Panther Party as a hate group, so it would have been perfectly appropriate for them to have covered that story. They never did cover it. And so that was why I wrote the article about mission creep, and I think that led them to put me on the list of people that they were out to get.